Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, let's talk about the way of fools. Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser. Thank you for joining me today. A verse was brought to my attention recently, as verses tend to do at different moments in your life, that I thought was absolutely applicable, not only to myself and my situation that's going on just in my phase and season of life right now, but it's absolutely applicable to business. It's applicable to us as business leaders, and really kind of helping get that spear to the heart conviction to recognize our own failings, our own limitations, and our own need for outside help. And the verse is Proverbs 12, verse 15, chapter 12, verse 15. And in the NIV, it says, "The way of fools seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice." So let me say that again, Proverbs 12:15. "The way of fools seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice." So now this is pretty easy, and I'm sure we've probably all in some form or fashion heard a version of this verse throughout our life, because it is a kind of a popular saying that, fools lead to ruin and the wise people, lead to success. But this touches on a specific aspect of being a fool or being a wise person. And I would argue we all kind of want to be wise people. We want to make wise decisions. We want to have wisdom that leads us to success versus being the fool, being the one that doesn't have the information, the one that's making decisions based on emotion, all those types of things. We want the one thing. And that's what they're saying here is, if you want to be a wise person, this is what wise people do. They listen to advice. If you want to stay a fool, this is what fools do. Their ways seem right to them, i.e. they don't get advice. They just go out on their own. They make their own decisions based on their own experiences, judgments, and capabilities. But what this is really getting at is, at our core, by ourselves, we are not capable of seeing the truth in all things. And this makes sense. We have very limited ability to absorb information. We can only absorb information based on what we are exposed to, whether exposed by actual firsthand experience or the experiences of others through, storytelling or conversations. I have no idea what's going on with the random person in Houston, Texas right now, because I'm not exposed to that. I don't have the ability to gain that knowledge. And they may be doing something that could be impactful for my business. You have no idea what's going on in the lives of your employees because you're not there with them at their home dealing with that situation with their child or sickness or elderly parent, because you're not exposed to that directly until you get into that world and start seeing that. But this also helps us understand the way of fools seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice, is that at its root, our emotions in the moment cloud our judgment, cloud our ability to listen to the advice of others. And that's the exact reason why we should be listening to the advice of others. Now, there are some caveats to that. Of course, you want it to be a qualified person, somebody that has your best interest in heart, all those types of things. But you should be seeking the advice and counsel of other people. And this is mentorship at its core. This is recognizing fools listen to themselves, base all their decisions on their own emotions and their own experiences. Wise people seek the counsel of others and advice of others. And we do this, and this is what mentorship is called in the business sense. Like, I want to be an incredible laundromat owner, so I seek the advice and counsel of more experienced laundromat owners. I want to run an amazing car wash and avoid the pitfalls of what it means to operate a car wash business, whether it be in the legal environment. The EPA certainly probably plays a role with your chemicals that are used, all those types of things, as well as just the basic employment, payroll, accounting, all those stuff that comes with running any business. So you seek the advice and mentorship of somebody that is ahead of you a little bit, or a bit. Because mentorship at its core is you being wise, is you seeking that advice. Those that don't seek that are the fools. And those are typically the ones that you see, they go out of business. They're not able to figure it out on their own. They're not able to avoid all the pitfalls in their journey to creating this business, whatever that model is, whatever industry that's in, because they haven't sought the advice, mentorship, and counsel of people that have done it. But this isn't always the case. So I will say, going back to the caveat of people that you seek advice and mentorship from, because it's not always the case that people that give you advice or want to give you advice do it for pure purposes, do it for your benefit. There are toxic people out there. Let's just put it out there. We can probably all think of one or two that if you went to them and said, hey, what should I do in this situation? They're going to base their answer and advice, quote unquote, advice to you based on their own limitations, their own insecurities, their own past failures, their own lack of commitment and conviction, their own scarcity mindset. They're going to base their advice through their own lens versus the lens of what's best for you. And there's all kinds of reasons for that. The relationship may not be exactly what you thought it was. They're in an entirely different phase of life than what you are. Their goals are entirely different. All those types of things, because that is important when you're looking for otherwise people to get advice from and seek mentorship from. They need to be in a similar, or at least have gone through recently a similar journey in their life. But as you do this, the key takeaway of this episode of this podcast is fools do what seems right to them and them only. Wise people seek advice, listen to advice. Don't be a fool. Don't be the one that just goes around making your own decisions, especially critical big decisions. And there's really no excuse anymore to not seek wise counsel, to not seek mentorship. Whether you're an athlete, if you had aspirations of being an Olympic athlete, would you just jump in a pool and start figuring it out? Yeah, you might get to the point after years and years and years of doing it wrong that you figure out how to shave those seconds off of your stroke and your time and your lap times. Or a wise person would go to an former Olympic swimmer, Michael Phelps or whomever, and say, show me what I'm doing wrong. Teach me the right way to, be more efficient in my stroke, blah, 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 blah. All those things that go into it. This happens all the time. So be that person in your business that seeks the counsel and advice of others in the form of mentorship, in the form of coaching, in the form of consulting, because there's no excuse anymore. People are out there and they're willing to do that. And that's absolutely what we at Kale Houser Leadership do. Our program, whether you get into our monthly group coaching to where you jump on our calls every week and you can ask your questions. You're like, hey, I'm struggling with this. You're seeking the advice of others that have your best interest at heart, that want to see you succeed, that want to see you not fail, to gain in your wisdom and understanding in your business and how to interact with people, how to do sales, how to do follow-up and prospecting, all those types of things. So make sure you check us out, kalehouserleadership.com. Shoot me an email, kale@kalehouserleadership.com, and I'd be happy to respond and we can talk. But yeah, I want to leave you with that. Proverbs 12:15. The way of fools seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice. And this is my advice to you. Be the wise person. Seek out the advice. Seek out the mentorship. Seek out the counsel of people that you trust. And stop being the fool that does it their own. This idea of a solopreneur is a farce. It's a key word that's used by journalists to sell news articles like, oh, solopreneur. Stop being that and build a team. Build at least an advisory board of people that you go to for information. And we'd love to be that for you. Kale@kalehouserleadership.com. All right, no matter where you're at in the world, have a fantastic no matter where you're at in the world, have a fantastic afternoon. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.